Absolutely. We want to get into our topic, of course. And but if you have any comments about any of the stories that we just talked about, you want to let us know something, or if you got some additional information, make sure you put it in our comments, and we will revisit it at the end of this show.
Especially for the firefighters, because he kind of took a crap on them, and I think he put his people in the U.S. Forestry, those Department of Security, those secretary. He put his own people in there. So I mean, if they're mismanaging money, that's your people doing that. So I mean, he has this thing against California. If it's a state that went against him,
right,
he don't like that. So. Vets, law enforcement, even y'all, he's not on your side. Trust me. So, but anyway, we're about to get into today's topic.
Today's topic, which I know it has been. My timeline has been on fire all week. Of course, social media has been on fire all week. We have a young lady here joining us, and
you gonna give her an introduction before we bring on?
I am. Jamie Jeans. She's coming to us to talk about a Facebook post that she
and
wrote.
She's from Milledgeville,
Baldwin County.
Milledgeville?
We'll let her tell it.
Okay.
I think she said Bartow County.
She's from Central Georgia.
Look, she's from the same county that Honey Boo Boo is from. That's all I needed to know. When I heard that, I was like, okay, listen.
Turn up, Honey Boo Boo.
Listen, okay. So, but her Facebook post after the midterm elections had 3,200 reactions, over 4,000 shares to date. And if, of course, when you sent it to me, I went through and I looked, and I noticed that the first day no one was able to share it. And then on the second day, someone asked for her to make it public so that they could share it. And from there, so 24 hours, basically, she hit that 3,000 mark. And it's just been growing like that. From there, a lot of people have been commenting on it, have been sharing it, and we're gonna talk to her. And it was like positive. It was positive messages and some negative. And of course, we're gonna talk about both sides of the conversation.
And right before we bring on, I'll say this: what I think happened, and this, I mean, just guessing. Mm-hmm. I think it was a taboo subject. I mean,
right?
Nobody ever just puts the blame on white women like that. You know what I mean? Everybody in the spectrum would get blamed. Black people first. I'm just keeping the 1K. And that'll be the last person you hear getting blamed for anything. You know what I mean? And for her to come out and just, when I read that, I was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Because I've never really read nobody post something like that. I was surprised.
And if you haven't seen the post, I did share it a little while ago. You can go to my page, Franki Foster, and it's on my wall. Her post, I just shared it right before we started.
And it's kind of like a opt-in almost. I would say something with a lot of people in politics. They write opt-in. Columnists, they write opt-in. So I didn't know nothing about her. I actually seen a friend of mine named Brittany. Shout out to Brittany, her page, and when I read it, I I have to interview this lady because I've never read anybody write anything like that. So without further ado, drum roll, here's Jamie.
Yay! I wish we had some applause so that we could make this all nice and pretty. We would act like we're on the Ellen show, like yay!
Just don't make me dance on the way up.
How are you today?
I am good.
Good.
I'm very excited to be here.
Good. And we're excited to have you. One of the funniest posts I saw was someone was like, Jamie's invited to the cookout. So I'm like, this is the cookout. And we've invited her. So we want to hear from you. Tell us a little bit of your background.
Well, I honestly, I have absolutely no expertise in this other than college courses in government and political science like a lot of other folks. I'm a dispatcher for a public school system in Baldwin County. I do work there.
Baldwin.
But I am from Wilkinson County, so
okay.
I definitely want to give a shout out to Wilco.
What town is that?
I'm from Gordon. I am from a tiny town called Gordon.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it is. This post has probably 3 times more shares than people that live in my town.
Oh, wow.
So we don't even have a Walmart in the county. We are very rural.
But what I like about that is that I feel like that you are a member of that population that
yes.
When we talk about the 52% of white women that voted for Trump in the first election.
I am amongst them. that is absolutely accurate.
Do you mind if we ask you how you how do you identify as Democrat or Republican?
Independent.
Or do you just
I am a registered independent.
Okay.
And I did that for purely political reasons. I want to be able to choose which primary I have a say in.
Perfect.
But I am definitely more liberal leaning, but mainly just because the Democrats have the ideas that's going to benefit me personally the most.
Right. And so were you surprised in any way after you wrote the post? Like, what was the most surprise? Or were you surprised, not about the post yet, I really want to ask you about the election. Were you surprised at how the governor's election came out? Because so many people on my timeline was like, what? Say what? Say huh? Like, were you surprised?
No, I wasn't. I had hoped that the results would come out pretty much like we have them. It's nearly a dead split, which says a lot for Georgia. It
Right.
shows that the Democratic Party has come a long way here. There was decades that no one thought a Republican could win the governor's house in Georgia, and since they won it, they've clinched it. And it's been entrenched in Republican hands. And the fact that Stacey Abrams is coming within tenths of a point.
Right now at
of
50.3.
holding that mansion, it is insane.
I got
It's
a quick
truly
question.
impressive.
How did she come close to where you live or anywhere near to campaign?
Macon would have been about the closest that she came to where I live.
How far that is from you?
25
Okay,
minutes if
that's
traffic
local, that's
isn't
local.
bad. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Macon is definitely our big city.
Okay.
Here where I am.
Mac Town.
Yes.
So now we're going to go on to our discussion of the infamous Facebook post. What made you write it?
I was incensed when I saw those numbers, and I was incensed for a number of reasons. I know women who are Trump voters and Kemp voters, and I know them personally and intimately to a degree that I know how much the Democratic platform would actually benefit their lives.
Right.
And I cannot wrap my brain around what makes someone vote against their own best interest. But looking at those numbers, I felt betrayed because Stacey Abrams has policies that would have greatly benefited me.
Right.
And to see that many people that I interact with on a day-to-day basis, and to see that many people that I know need a lot of the same help, and just knowing that the government has their back in that kind of way, it hurt me. It hurt me to see those numbers. And I don't understand why so many white women in particular do not understand that they have more in common with the black family down the street than they do than anybody that the Republican Party's platform would benefit. They don't make over $100,000.
Right.
These tax cuts aren't going to benefit them. Nothing that Brian Kemp proposed, which was shockingly little, is going to directly affect them. And everything that Stacey Abrams was laying on the table was going to, in some way, shape, or form. And to still go against that logic, go against that data, that hard fact, it was disheartening. It was truly disheartening.
What was it about the climate of the election, or the midterm election particularly here in Georgia? What do you think about that climate made you reflect on how white women voted, and also had the feeling had it been festering already in you, and did that just highlight it, or was it just something about the midterm election that really got you?
The midterm election is our one shot. It is our one shot to rein in this president. We are not going to have a chance to stop any harmful policies coming out of Pennsylvania Avenue unless we took some kind of control in the midterm. We needed something. But yeah, the feeling that I got seeing the numbers that accompanied the Kemp-Abrams race was very much like the feeling that I got when the same race, sex, gender numbers started coming in from the presidential election. White women were not there either.
I got a two-part question. You mentioned to some of your friends voted for Kemp and Trump. All right, and you don't have to put your friends' business out there, but are any of these friends on, do they get any kind of help or aid? I'm not necessarily saying welfare, but any kind of help or aid. And do you think that white women let the Democratic Party down?
Let me go in reverse. Yes. Yes,
So some
yes,
of them
I
are,
absolutely
and you know,
do.
Kip gets cut wants to cut stuff like that back,
Right.
and they still voted for him.
I know a lot of women who make barely too much money to qualify for Medicaid and would absolutely qualify for it under Medicaid expansion. And these are women, some of them have significant health problems, some of them have children with significant health problems.
Right.
All of them could use a little extra coin in their purse to not have such high insurance premiums.
Right.
These are tangible bottom line things that they would see and touch and spend and whatever they needed to do with it. And to still just be like, nope, I'm with Trump, I'm with Kemp, I'm a Republican, despite the fact that you're literally shooting yourself in the foot. It is mind-boggling. I still can't get around it.
Well, and talking to them, what do they tell you? Like, what's the reasoning?
To me, from what they tell me, it seems a lot like they're voting out of fear. They are called conservatives for a reason. They are trying to hold on to something that may or may not have ever actually existed for them.
Right.
They are worried about the caravan. They are
Which we
worried.
haven't heard nothing about
With
since.
shockingly quiet.
Right.
They're worried about that. They are worried that if too many people that are gay are given too many rights, that the entire world is going to be influenced and it may harm their children in some way. They're protectionist, and it's for the right reasons. They want to make sure that their home and their family is safe, but they are shutting out the entire rest of the world to achieve that goal. And it's dangerous.
Yeah.
But do you feel like they let the Democratic Party down?
Yes, and I'm sorry. I know that up until the midterms, everybody was hearing about white college suburban women were going to rush in on their white horse and save this. And it's a good news, bad news situation. That happened. That happened across the country. White women, college-educated white women, their numbers were up, and they were
Right.
overwhelmingly Democratic. But it stopped at the Mason-Dixon line. It did not come here.
Right.
We eked by, and these are women that I went to school with that maybe just didn't vote at all because they didn't feel like they had a dog in the fight.
You remember these numbers right here, right?
I do remember those numbers.
They voted almost equally as their male counterparts.
Yes.
So do you think that males in their life had some bearing on how they voted?
I was kind of hoping you would ask this. This was not something that ever occurred to me until this post went viral, and I saw a lot of people commenting with their caption to my post or having comments on their own post where they shared it,
Right.
saying that white women overwhelmingly vote with their husbands. Y'all, I don't know. I can tell you that there is not a man alive that can influence my vote,
Right.
but I cannot speak for them. And looking at these numbers, I would have to assume yes.
Yes.
But I don't know. That is not something that it never even occurred to me to think that until I saw a bunch of other people bringing it up, and I was like, huh.
I
that
can
is an
say
interesting point.
in researching this story, that was actually a point that I felt like it was like, yeah, like, well, first of all, I guess my question was always like, when did white women tell us that they were with us? Like, I just don't remember them ever telling me they were with us. But, you know, I can see that a lot of people were surprised when the numbers came out. But I just remember back in 2016 when Hillary Clinton was criticized for making that exact comment that that basically white women were going with their husbands because, and I mean, and when you think about it, it does benefit their interests. If you're talking about pay wage gaps between women and men, and their husbands work and they're at home, then yes, that would benefit them.
Right.
Trump's policies would benefit them. If you're talking about, you know, people not coming into the country illegally, you know, then that's probably how their husbands feel. If talking about guns, they don't want to take the guns away.
Oh.
That's probably the only free time they're probably like, whoo, when the husbands
let
go to
them
hunt.
go hunt.
They're probably
Send
like,
them
go
away.
hunt. Don't take their guns away. Let them go and hunt. You know, so I'm like, do you think they are voting against their best interests, or are we just misidentifying what their best interests, what they feel their best interests are?
Yes to both. They are both voting against their best interest, and what we perceive as their best interest
Right.
is not what they perceive as their best interest. Whenever you talk about white folks in the South in general, guns are going to come up.
Right.
It is going to be a thing. I am a gun owner. Like, I've never heard anyone talk about coming to take my guns away. I do not understand why gun control is a threat to you if you are a legal gun owner. And I don't understand how you can look at things like the synagogue shooting and all of the tragedies that we are constantly pounded with every single week at this point.
Yes.
Right.
And not be like, okay, they're not trying to take our guns. Maybe we should move an inch. I'm not asking for a mile, an inch. Just come to the table.
Right.
And see what's there. If guns is your major deciding vote on whether you're voting Democrat or Republican, you are not well informed.
I got a question for you, Frank. I got a question for both of y'all, actually. Does the Democratic Party deserve the vote of the black women? Is it automatic?
Oh, no, it's never an automatic. Nothing. I feel like when you talk about your vote, and I think that's one thing a lot of people miss, is that everybody has a vote. And you can't control anybody else's vote. You can have conversations and influence them, which is why I like having conversations like this, because I want to hear why. Because I can't convince you or give you an argument as to why what you're thinking is wrong if I don't even know what you think.
Right.
And if we're not talking, and if we're pissed at each other, and all we're doing is calling each other names on Facebook, that's not helping anything. But no, my vote is never an automatic, and nobody's vote should be an automatic. I feel like when you start voting as an automatic, then you're kind of hurting the democratic process,
exactly.
the whole point of democracy.
And my question to you is, what do you think the Democratic Party can do to reach out to white women?
I cannot speak for any white women other than the ones in the South, which is a
Yeah,
whole
the ones
different
in-
voting pool than the rest of the country.
What can they do to reach out to say, look, we have your best interests in hand. Vote blue. What can they do?
I don't know. I sincerely don't. I think that what white women need to do is think of the entire world as they think of their family. There are other children that need the same things that their kids need. And if a woman can do anything, it is be maternal. That is something that we have discovered time after time. And it's disappointing to see that white women are constantly letting down not only the Democratic Party, but feminism.
Women,
Just honest to goodness equality. And when you look back at the history of white women, we were the suffragettes. White women were taking the lead and getting women the right to vote.
Susan B. Anthony.
Yes, we were out there. We were in the streets. We were literally dying for it. And once we got the vote, we went back home.
Right.
And we haven't shown back up since. And that is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. I should be able to sit here with you right now and look at you and say, I have been there. I have been standing shoulder to shoulder with you on moving women to a place of equality. I don't want us to be better. I just want a level playing field. And while I might be able to say that personally,
Right.
people who look like me as a whole cannot. And that breaks my heart that we let that pioneering, rebellious spirit that allowed us in the ballot box at all. We just left it sitting at home.
Yeah. So, do you think, as far as the negative feelings or backlash that you may have received, did you receive any backlash after you posted that?
I did. It was very minimal. I'm honestly surprised.
That's good. That's good. That's positive. That makes me feel good.
That is really good. I can tell you, white women that are Kemp voters are furious with me right now.
I can imagine.
All of the truly nasty stuff I've gotten has been to the people that I was, kind of directly attacking. So I get it.
What's some of the things that have been sent at you through your email or?
Well, I had one woman who messaged me just this long diatribe about what an idiot I was and how I needed to get a life, but she sent it to me at before 7 a.m. on a Monday morning, and I'm like, which one of the two of us really needs a life here? And I had another woman that I actually shared who couldn't pluralize women, bless her, and I'm like, I can't take you seriously.
Right.
I'm sorry, but on the opposite side, white male Republicans were inquisitive.
Right.
I've actually had a lot of shocking conversations with white men who I didn't change any minds. Sorry, y'all, I tried. But they were inquisitive. They genuinely wanted to know, well, why do you think that Stacey Abrams would have been better for you and this, that, and the other? And I had one guy going to completely rethink his entire views on homosexuality by the end of the conversation. I'm like, that's all I need. I just need you to think. I don't need you to change your vote. I don't need you to change your way of life. I just need you to think.
Just everybody think for themselves. So do you think as far as why do you think women were, or white women were so offended? Or do you feel like they felt your post was saying they were stupid and not thinking for them, not able to think independently?
I definitely hit a nerve. And listen, white women, if you were sitting at home waiting for your husband to tell you how to vote, stop it. Just stop. Go do your own research. There's a whole world of data out there. Use it. But I think that they felt attacked. Mm-hmm. They felt attacked by yet another liberal. They felt attacked by yet another person coming after their way of life. I get that. I get wanting to isolate yourself inside your own bubble. And it's hard seeing somebody who looks like you calling you out for doing the things you do. It's hard for all of us to hear. I caught some backlash from black women and other white liberal women saying that it was wrong of me to turn around and put it back in black women's lap. I get that it read that way as I read back through it, but that's not at all what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I'm saying if you look at those numbers right there, 97% is a solid voting block, no matter how you cut it. The power of the Democratic Party is not in harnessing the vote of black women, it's in getting the hell out of their way. Right. Letting them lead the party. They know what they want. 97%. Mm-hmm. That's miraculous.
It is. It is.
What made you, I guess we can transition to this, what made you say the future of the Democratic Party is on the shoulders of black women?
It is. When you have Stacey Abrams, when you have Kamala Harris, when you have all of these women that are refusing to sit down and be silenced. I'm sorry, but I watch C-SPAN purely for Kamala Harris.
I do too. I love her.
Amazing.
Yeah, she ain't no joke.
She is an honest to goodness warrior. I mean, she will get out there and just rip anybody to shreds if they need to be. That is the kind of leadership that we need. And not to sound a little, I don't know, what is reverse misogynist, I want to see a woman's thought process in leading this country. I mean, frankly, it's been a couple of 100 years. Let's see how it goes.
It's been never. It's been never, actually.
Let's give it a shot. Y'all have had your time to shine. Let's see what we can do.
So most people I know that support Trump say that it's his policies on the economy that keep their support with him. Why do you think they do that in spite of all his indiscretions?
Because they don't understand wage growth and inflation. It is purely that simple. Yes, the economy is adding more jobs, but it is adding more low-paying jobs. It is still adding jobs that are not going to pay your bills. And because the economy is growing and expanding, that allows for inflation to creep up. Mm-hmm. So now nobody's wages are rising, but inflation is.
Right.
So yes, more people have jobs. There are fewer people out of work. If you want a job right now, go get it. It is there to be had. But
you might need 3 of them.
Right. We are still in the situation where you are going to work until you bleed just to pay your car note.
Right.
And that's still not America.
That's not America. And I think I feel the same way about, I feel like if you work 40 hours a week, that you should make a livable wage. You should be able to pay those basic bills and be able to have a roof over your head, heat, food, and, transportation, and your kids are safe.
And it would be cool to not hit a zero balance before your next paycheck comes in.
That would be cool.
That would rock. I would
Right?
definitely be on board for that.
How do you think we can encourage conversation between white and black women, just like we're doing now? How can we encourage that?
Be respectful. I disagree with the majority of the human race on one thing or another. It really is that simple. But I love to debate, and if someone's yelling at me, I can't debate them. And if I'm yelling at someone, I can't. There's no exchange of ideas. listening is just as important as talking. And if more women sat down, and men, if people sat down and took an earnest look at each other and truly and honestly talked about their beliefs, they would find common ground. And it would not matter that Washington or the media or whoever is pitching us against each other. We would find a lot more things that we had in common, and they would have a lot more to worry about in Washington.
That's it. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much, Jamie, for joining us.
Thank y'all for having me.
Oh, we really appreciate you coming.
And we're gonna give you a chance to make some final thoughts on this whole situation, how you feel, and what you want your friends and your community to know about this situation. Because I know you just been put into the just limelight about it. So
I just want everyone to know that I do not care who you voted for. I honestly do not. But I want everyone to take a deep look at what is truly important to them and think about which party is best going to get you there. I don't care who it is, but everybody needs to read up. An informed electorate is the most dangerous thing in the world. We can move mountains. Inform yourself. It is the greatest tool you have.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for joining us. We actually have a lot of comments going on from our discussion. The first comment I have is from Marquise Antoine, who simply stated white women are not to be trusted at all. And
I can't argue your logic. At least not politically.
I mean, I would say that, but again, I have to go back to my thought of that. I just don't remember us making any kind of pact with white women saying that we were all, I mean, yes, we marched in Washington for women's rights, but I feel like after...
that was one of the biggest marches ever.
Absolutely.
It was record-breaking.
But that is a shared trait that we all have.
Yes.
So when you go deeper and start talking about things like Black Lives Matter, you start talking about, like you said, welfare expansion and LGBT, like, we've never had that discussion, and I just think that maybe we wouldn't have been as surprised if I think we made assumptions based off of that instead of us actually have conversations.
Let me ask you this. I know that we were supposed to be stopping, but you live in a more rural part of Georgia.
Absolutely.
So coming between big cities, is it all Kemp? You see all Kemp signs everywhere? Because we live in a city. I mean, we don't live in a big city, but we live in a city, so we see mostly Stacey Abrams propaganda and signs. But when you out in the country, what do you see out in the country? You see that
I've
red wave?
seen a shocking amount of Stacey Abrams signs. I will say that Stacey Abrams supporters were much more motivated to let you know that they were Stacey Abrams supporters.
Well, I said last week, I voted. We more vocal, but them other folks, we're gonna vote Abrams. They're going in. Boop.
I will also
I call
say
them sneaky Trump supporters.
Well, that's exactly what it is. They
Supporters.
don't want to have to come back to work on Monday and explain to their black coworkers how they just threw them under the bus. Like, I wouldn't want to have that conversation, so I try not to be a shitty person when I go in the ballot box, basically.
Right.
That's what it boils down to. But I will say that while there were more Abrams signs, the people who had the Kemp signs spent some money. They were much larger.
Right. And then Chad Pepper also had a comment. He said, gun control is a slippery slope toward gun confiscation. Australia and Europe are prime examples of gun control leading to complete gun control. So what do you guys think about that?
Australia and anywhere in the European Union do not have guns built into their constitution. We are, I think it's like 3 countries, maybe? I don't know. Someone Google that. But there are a minuscule amount of countries that actually have gun protections built into the founding of the country.
Right.
Guns aren't going anywhere in America, guys. They're not. Obama didn't come take your guns. Stacey Abrams.
And he was the boogeyman. Obama
Right.
was the
Like,
a way bigger boogeyman.
there
than
is
Stacey
not
Abrams.
a liberal hiding around every corner waiting to jack your AR. It's just not the way it's going. If you can honestly give me an argument, yes, sure, slippery slope. If you can honestly give me an argument why some of the gun measures in this country not even should be reined in, just be enforced.
Just be enforced, right.
Just enforce the laws we already have. Then fine, I'll debate with you. But we're not using the laws that we do have.
Right.
And those laws are there for a reason. And then when Trump gets in office and starts rolling back the laws that are already too weak to begin with, we end up in a mess. And I mean, yeah, sure, gun control, slippery slope, fine. There's never going to be a moment in America where the government's like, hand in your guns or we're kicking in your door. That is not a realistic expectation. And if you allow people to tell you that, you are voting from fear and not from reality.
Right, exactly. So we'll go with one more comment. Wanda Robinson, she made the comment, what's with these white women calling on all African American women? Where's the respect in that? And
I get it. I am not calling on black women to do anything. Y'all already did it.
that's what I was going to say. I was about to say the number, Wanda, I think it was more of a statement that, I mean, like we said, the numbers are there. 97%.
Yes.
And I think that we are united, and I think that as African American women, we should really be proud to know that we have a united message in our demographic. And I think the other demographics need to be pulled along so that, I feel like that's where change is going to come, when we can get everyone, when we can decide what it is we want and then move together to try to make it happen. So if it is that we want gun control, we want our politicians, and then not only just talking about, we want hold these people accountable.
Yes.
Once they're elected. When we vote and then everybody just goes back to life as usual until more political signs pop up again, that's like a boiling pot of nothing, because they're doing whatever they're just doing what they wanted to do in the first place,
right.
And you're not participating in the process. You have to hold your elected officials accountable if they say they're going to do something.
Old folks say you got to hold that fire over their ass.
Right. And what I will say about Trump supporters is that they are very vocal about the things they want. And they are holding him to the fire. You said you were going to build a wall. We want that wall. Yes. We don't want anybody coming into this country. We you locking up children.
Locked down.
Look, you locking up children. Oh well. He's doing. We want to keep a ban on all immigrants coming in. Hey, he is checking off their boxes for them.
Yes.
And I think that's a lesson for the rest of us, is that when we get our politicians and our political candidate in office, to continue to hold them to the fire.
Yes. Can you answer number 8 for the people?
What's your message to all women in Georgia who believe in health care, higher wage, and education for the children? Man, why wouldn't you vote for those things? Like, honestly, health care, higher wage, education for the children. Y'all realize they are going to decide our future, right? We are destroying the planet we expect them to run, and y'all have me sitting here wondering how I'm going to make bills paid. This is unnecessary. Vote for what is better for everyone. Vote for the greater good, and stop trying to isolate yourself and preserve something that you probably didn't have in the first place.
All right. I think that's a great way for us to end this week.
That's a great way.
All right.
This is the Modish Stills Podcast, and that was great. Shout out and thanks for everybody. Give me a hug.
Yeah.
Give me a hug. Thank you for
and
coming
thank you
down
to our
here.
viewers. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all your comments.
Y'all continue the conversation through the comments. Even though we are logging off, we are still online. We'll be answering comments, and we still will be indulging in conversation. So leave any comments you have in the comments box. And until next week, we are gone. Hey.
Toodles. Thank you.
Thank you
again for coming.